I just don't understand how anyone could hurt her. When I hear her mother say, "not guilty," with no emotion, it infuriates me. This is the story of a failure that cost a 3-year-old child her life. Hazel Journey Holman was born on March 13, 2016, in Washington state. From her very first breath, life was a struggle. She was born in critical condition. She wasn't breathing. Doctors managed to save her that day. But the state system, which is supposed to protect children, would ultimately fail her. Just 1,285 days later, on the day before Thanksgiving in 2019, Hazel was found unconscious in an apartment in Bellingham. 3 days later, she was pronounced dead. An investigation revealed that Hazel had been abused for 5 months. 5 months during which child protection workers had visited her multiple times, yet failed to see the signs. Obvious signs. We tell this story not for drama, but because awareness can save lives. Narrator, softly. Hazel was a radiant little girl. With chestnut hair, round glasses, and huge brown eyes, she lit up every room she entered. She was unusually empathetic for a child her age. If someone around her looked sad, Hazel would climb into their lap and hum quietly, trying to comfort them. If someone coughed, she would ask gently, "Are you okay?" She loved dancing, singing Baby Shark, and pretending she was the heroine of every book read to her. She could watch Moana endlessly, and believed chicken nuggets were the best food in the world. Hazel deserved a happy life, but her parents weren't ready for that responsibility. Hazel's mother, Medora Peterson, was only 17 when Hazel was born. Her father, Brandon Holman, was 26. Their relationship was unstable and marked by volatility. Initially, they lived with Medora's family, then moved to their own apartment in Bellingham. But emotional immaturity and financial instability made parenting nearly impossible. On November 2, 2017, when Hazel was just 19 months old, police were called after reports of domestic violence. When they arrived, Brandon refused to let them in. A 5-hour standoff followed. SWAT teams, negotiators, and armored vehicles surrounded the home. Hazel, barely able to speak, was trapped in the middle of it all. Brandon was eventually detained, and Hazel was placed under the care of Washington State's Department of Children, Youth, and Families, DCYF. Hazel was then placed with her paternal grandmother Tammy and her husband Dale. They saw right away that she had been neglected. Her teeth were rotting. She had sores on her lips. She suffered from night terrors. But slowly, with love and patience, Hazel transformed. She began to smile again. Dale took her to the park. She played with other children. Tammy took her to the dentist. Her Aunt Ashley loved her like her own child. Hazel started to thrive in a calm, structured, and loving home. In order to regain custody, her parents were required to complete addiction treatment, parenting classes, and therapy, and they were ordered to stay away from each other. Medora quickly faded out. She missed visits, dropped out of programs, and eventually moved to Iowa. Brandon resisted at first, but later began cooperating. In May 2018, he introduced his girlfriend, Cammie Dixon, into Hazel's life. Cammie had a troubling background, multiple criminal charges and a history of drug abuse. Yet DCYF allowed her to participate in Hazel's life under certain conditions. In December 2018, DCYF noted that Brandon had made some progress, but it wasn't consistent. Suddenly, though, he became very cooperative, attending programs, testing clean for drugs, and keeping stable housing. By March 2019, Brandon was granted overnight visits with Hazel. 2 months later, DCYF began to consider full reunification. Despite concerns from his own mother, Tammy, Hazel was returned to Brandon's care on June 19, 2019. That marked the beginning of the final 5 months of Hazel's life. After reunification, a new caseworker was assigned. Due to Brandon's job in construction, most home visits were with Cammie, Hazel's primary caregiver now. And the red flags started immediately. In August, Hazel's teenage cousin noticed bruises and that Hazel refused to remove her shirt, ashamed, scared. A friend witnessed Cammie punishing Hazel by forcing her into a cold shower for wetting her pants. Hazel was shivering, teeth chattering. Cammy also became visibly jealous of Hazel at a child's birthday party, angry that the girl received more attention than her own son. From that point on, Hazel's preschool attendance dropped, while Cammy's son continued going regularly. In late September, Brandon told the new caseworker that Hazel had burned her hand a week prior. When the worker saw the injury, he was shocked. It covered her entire palm and fingers. Cammy claimed it was a kitchen accident and said she hadn't taken Hazel to the doctor because she wasn't her legal guardian. Only on October 3rd, over a week later, did Hazel receive medical care. Doctors were alarmed. They reported the injury to CPS as required by law. This should have triggered an emergency 24-hour investigation. It didn't. The case was sent back to the regular caseworker instead of a protective investigator. Less than 2 weeks later, on October 15th, Brandon reported Hazel had a chemical burn in her eye. It could have caused permanent vision damage. Then, at the end of October, Cammy punished Hazel after her son pushed the girl and she cried. Not her son, the aggressor. Hazel, the victim. Still, no action was taken. On November 13th, 2019, just 2 weeks before Hazel's death, she was seen alive by child welfare staff for the last time. Closing, somber tone, fade-in soft piano music. Hazel Journey Holman was only 3 years old, a sweet, empathetic, bright child. She didn't die because no one knew she was in danger. She died because people knew and failed to act.